More elbows here by Paddy. The rest looking at it, and that's it. Paddy wins, baby. Let's go. Goldspire says, I'm independent. Okay, so he made that known. I could never support Biden Harris or that ignorant orange buffoon Donald. You lost my respect. You should keep politics off your channel. You lost as a subscriber. Because it's like, if you don't like what I'm saying, you're like, I'm not watching anymore. I'm not going to stand for this. You lost a subscriber. Well, so what? So what?
Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the TCMMA podcast with your host, Chris Cross.
Whoa!
Dana White privilege.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, baby!
Dana White privilege. Privilege. Privilege.
What up? What up? This your boy Chris Cross checking in. This is the TCMMA podcast. And what a wild night it was last night in Miami at UFC 314. And we're going to break this thing down by just going in order from the prelims all the way up. It just got more and more intense throughout. Trump showed up, obviously. We'll get into that a little bit, although that makes some people get upset, but it is what it is. And it was just exciting that it was in Miami. You know, it was freezing last night. It's like 38 degrees out here and freeze warning in effect. And we're starting to get a little spoiled because the weather's starting to go up, so we're ready for summer. And I just had to grind through it. But the fact that this thing was in Miami just made it an exceptional night, a good one to watch. And, of course, Trump showing up made it even better. I mean, it just always makes the pay-per-view even better when Trump shows up, because when he shows up, the views go up. So that's the bottom line. So we'll get into that a little bit. But first, let's kick this thing off with Marco Tulio getting a big finish over Tresean Gore. And this went down in fight two. He had 3 finishes in the first 4 fights, but this is the second fight of the night. Marco Tulio coming in like 13-1. Check this out. And Gore staying strong here, but he's taking a lot here. Oh, he takes a leg kick to the body. Oh, boy, and he goes down. Tulio on top now. Gore holding on once again. He held on here in the first round, but now Tulio's opening up with some big lefts. And Gore's not getting up this time. He's stuck against the fence, takes an elbow, another elbow. And the rest looking at this, but they're still going. Hold on, Gore. USA chance have dwindled now. One of those big fights, USA versus Brazil tonight, 2 of them. And the crowd going wild, back and forth. Fans on both sides, right? USA, Brazil, and Miami. And Tulio's picking it up. Ooh, nearly misses a leg kick, and he lands a big right, and that's it. The ref says that's it. And no argument from Gore. I'm sure he's happy the fight's over, but he's still surprised. I mean, this is a guy that's very tough. Taking on a Brazilian that's 13-1, forget about it. And we saw tonight how tough Tresean Gore is. But nonetheless, the Brazilian's going to move to 14-1 with the second round KO. He was a 6-1 favorite, so think about that. It took him 8 or 9 minutes. So Tresean Gore looked good here, but Tulio, that's just a tough matchup. The Brazilian moves to 14-1, 118-19 in significant strikes. So Gore held on for a while here. Middleweight division, UFC 314. Yeah, so Marco Tulio getting the big win, moving to 14-1. And as I told you this week in the predictions, the 2 fights where it's USA versus Brazil is not going to go well. USA may have a highlight or 2 along the way, which ended up being true. We'll get there in a moment, but not in this one. I mean, Marco Tulio finished this fight. It took a while, as we said there in the reaction. Tresean Gore did fight well, but eventually it was just too much. Now, as we work our way into the prelims, you had Darren Elkins versus Julian Erosa. This was a highly competitive fight. Here's the reaction last night. Elkins still hasn't recovered from that up kick. But Julian Erosa's just being patient. Seems to me like he's got to get the finish here in the first round, though. Not allow Elkins to get a 30-second break, minute in between rounds. Elkins still standing, though. Oh, he takes a knee. That's not good. Oh, boy. And Juicy J's pouring it on now. Elkins goes down. He's taking 2 hammers, 3, 4, 5. He's pounding away with the right, back to the hammer. Oh, my goodness. The ref's looking at this. He stops it, and that's it. He shoves off Julian Juicy J Erosa, who gets the KO with 43 seconds left in the first round. And now we have 4 finishes in the first 5 fights. And the Miami crowd is loving this. Make no mistake about it. Erosa is going to move to 31-12. And about 2 minutes ago, he took an up kick and just never recovered. And Darren Elkins has recovered in the past and gotten rocked and still continued, but not this time. Erosa gets the win here. Featherweight division, UFC 314. Yeah, so a big win for Juicy J. He looked good last night getting the finish over Darren Elkins. So now things are starting to get hype because now you're getting into, you're getting closer and closer to the pay-per-view. But there was one more before we get to the main card when things really heat up. And that was Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson, right? This is one that everybody wanted to see. And how would this fight go down? It ended up being a little bit of a controversy. Check this out. Oh boy, Dan Ige clips him now. Sean Woodson in a little bit of trouble. Woodson's in a little bit of trouble. He's got to fight back here. Oh my goodness. Crowd's getting loud for sure. 4 minutes, plenty of time. And Danny Ige blasts 4 straight punches. And now Woodson goes in for the takedown, trying to buy some time. He's taking some hammers here, though. And he gets back up. And the ref stops it. Are you serious? Are you serious? What a terrible stoppage, man. Oh my gosh. Wow, dude. And Dan Ige was pouring it on, but that's a terrible stoppage, man. One of the worst stoppages I've ever seen. No question about it. Yeah, and Sean Woodson's taking some punches, but he's standing back up. I cannot believe it. Unbelievable. And Sean Woodson's probably up 2-0. Wow, terrible stoppage, man. What a disappointment. Sean Woodson's going to fall to 13-2 on the TKO loss. And he did take some punches, but clearly that fight should have continued. You got to give him some time. I don't know. Maybe Ige goes on to finish him. Who knows? But we'll never know. Terrible stoppage. But Dan 50K Ige gets to win. He's going to move to 19-9. And this will be the talk after UFC 314. Unbelievable. Featherweight division, UFC 314. Yeah, so you had a terrible stoppage there leading into the main card and pay-per-view, which only heightens a pay-per-view because now everybody's talking about this for like 10 or 15 minutes. But just as you starting to talk about this crazy stoppage, in walks President Trump. And we put out like a 30-second short hours before because we knew he was going to be in attendance. And we were curious, would there be any booze with all these tariffs, right? And it's in Miami, Florida. It's very diverse there. It's very diverse. That crowd is going to be very diverse. I mean, every nationality you can think of is probably in the building in Miami. I grew up down there. I get the dynamics, and I love it. I loved growing up that way. Around all types of nationalities, different languages, things of that nature. And that's just how it is down there. So that begs the question, will Trump get booed? Well, he didn't get booed. He came into a standing ovation. The place was rocking. I saw some live video from inside the arena when he walked in, and it was deafening. That's the bottom line. The place was deafening. And it should be because the President of the United States is walking in. I mean, the President of the United States is walking in. But some people had a rough time with it last night, replying to the short. our front any, I believe is the name. Obviously, full support for Trump. The UFC community is one of the most meat-headed, from the fans to the fighters to the announcers to the UFC president. Yeah, it's the fight game. These guys are going into the octagon and locking a cage door, and they're going to go one-on-one with another human being. If meat-headed is how you want to describe it, I think everybody watching is like, yeah, I mean, those are probably the most meat-headed people on the universe, as well as football players, as well as basketball players, as well as anybody competing, NASCAR, all that. These guys, even though this is a fight, these guys will fight at the drop of a dime. That's the culture in sports. It's competitive. You're trying to win. I mean, nobody, if it's not MMA, nobody really wants to get in a fight, but sometimes emotions boil over. That's the way sports are. So to say it's most meat-headed, fine, but there's like 10 other sports that are the same way. It's just not an actual fight. This is an actual fight in a cage. So, yeah, you'd expect that. Another one weighs in. Jasper Goldspire says, I'm independent. Okay, so he made that known. I could never support Biden Harris or that ignorant orange buffoon Donald. You lost my respect. You should keep politics off your channel. You lost as a subscriber. Wow. Wow. So here on the TCMMA podcast, we cover MMA and specifically the UFC, which is the biggest MMA promotion by far, right? So we cover this on a daily basis. And as we're covering it, Donald Trump walks in. So I'm supposed to sit here and not say anything. When the president of the United States walks in to the UFC pay-per-view, I don't care who the president is. I don't care what party it is. I'm covering it because I think it's great for the UFC and the American people that the president is into sports. He's showing up to all different things. Super Bowl, UFC, NASCAR, NCAA wrestling, for crying out loud. He's there. That's the president. I got to talk about it. But see, this is also why I got pushed from the center to the right, even though I think Donald Trump is left the center, but appears to be center and sometimes right of center. So he caught my attention. And the fact is, we went through years, 12 out of 16 years of Democratic rule, which is totally fine. So the president is Democrat. And we had to watch football and basketball and deal with all this politics stuff. And I agree with you. You should keep politics out of sports as much as you can. But in the UFC, it's worldwide. You got USA versus Brazil. You got USA versus China. You got Brazil versus Mexico. All these things going on. So there is going to be some political involvement in these things. I mean, it comes up all the time in the press conference because you got like USA versus Russia or something, and these guys are going at it and they're talking trash. So we are forced to cover it. But see, this is again why I've been pushed to the right a little bit. Because it's like, if you don't like what I'm saying, you're like, I'm not watching anymore. I'm not going to stand for this. You lost a subscriber. Well, so what? So what? If you don't like it, don't watch, fine. But that's not the culture of America. The culture of America is to keep watching, and if you don't like something, speak out against it. But the fact is, Trump is showing up to a UFC event that I'm covering and talking about. I got to talk about what I'm seeing transpire. And if it's a Democratic president, I'm going to act just the same. I'm not going to censor myself or allow myself to be censored, right? From what I'm thinking. The president of the United States is showing up to a sporting event. You got to cover it. That's the bottom line. So that's that. So evidently Trump showing up has caused people to get upset, especially if you're on the other side. And I get it. I might have some mixed emotions if it's the other way. But the bottom line is the president is still showing up. You got to talk about it. Now, once Trump does get there, which leads us into the next fight, right? Because you have an American and Dominick Reyes showing up, and the crowd is going crazy for USA at this point. Would it be the same for Chandler Paddy? I don't know. But to start the night, the crowd was really behind Dominick Reyes, and this is how it finished up. Reyes comes in with a left, barely misses. Oh, Reyes with a right. Pounds away, that's it. Reyes electrifies the crowd. Let's go. Wow. Wow. That went against our prediction, but dang, Dominick Reyes. And it happened so fast. I want to say it was with the right hand. We got to see the replay on this. Unbelievable. Dominick Reyes moves to 15-4. The American crowd, with Trump coming in moments ago, chanting USA, let's go Reyes. He gets a big finish, and the crowd's going to love that. And he does a homage to Trump. You got to love it. Hitting the golf ball. Unbelievable. That was quick, man. Like 2.5 minutes, maybe. Here we go with the replay. It happened fast. So Krylov's coming in. Oh, left hand. Whoa. Unbelievable in slow motion. Wow. One punch. Here it is. And it was like a half punch. Wow. Wow. Dominick Reyes moves to 15-4, and that's a KO. Not a TKO. That's a KO, baby. Dominick Reyes gets the win. He's 15-4, light heavyweight division. UFC 314. Yeah, so the crowd's going crazy for Dominick Reyes, and they should, because this was one that I didn't see coming through. I thought Nikita Krylov was going to go in there and dominate Reyes, who hasn't looked great over the past few years since that fight that many people believe he won against John Jones. So he returned to form last night, and you get a big finish in a pay-per-view setting, and that means that gives you a big fight next, because that sticks out in people's minds. Then 2 fights later, actually no, it was the next fight. Yeah, Bryce Mitchell, the American versus the Brazilian, Gene Silva, and I was nervous for Mitchell in this one, and we had every reason to be nervous for him as the Brazilian went off. Check this out. Oh, big left by Silva now. And Mitchell comes in, trying to get another takedown. He's really struggled here to get these takedowns. Oh, he's got it locked in this time. Silva's got it locked in. Bryce Mitchell is not getting out of this, ladies and gentlemen. It's over. He taps. Wow. Gene Silva finishes Bryce Mitchell. And Gene Silva tried to go up to Bryce Mitchell and say something, but Bryce Mitchell was done. He didn't even know what was going on. And now Bryce Mitchell gets up and wants to keep fighting. So John Silva is ridiculous, man. I mean, in the last 2 fights, it's just like he's playing with his opponent, just playing with the opponent. Looking off, talking to the crowd during the fight, things like that. And you can see the eyes of his opponents, especially in round 2. They just know that they're not going to win the fight. You can see the look in their face. And John Silva, the Brazilian, is absolutely ridiculous. He's now 16-2 with a big submission over a high-quality opponent in Bryce Mitchell. Now, remember, Bryce Mitchell's 17-3. So that's what it is. This fight went down featherweight division, UFC 314. Yeah, so the American goes off in the first fight. Then in the next fight, as expected, Gene Silva is on a different level, and he dominates Bryce Mitchell and finishes him by submission. So that's what it is. And then really the climax of the night, more so than the main event, which went 5 rounds to a decision, more on that in a minute, was Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler. And this fight went exactly how I thought it would go, and the crowd loved every second of it. And man, this is a lot like Khabib versus McGregor round 4, when Khabib got the finish. And Chandler's starting to get tired here. Paddy's just opening up. Now Paddy trying to get underneath, but again, Chandler's so good about keeping the chin down and extending this fight. But the ref's got to be looking at it here. I mean, the doctor's coming in 2 minutes regardless. But the ref's really taking a look at it here. And he's close. And Chandler's covering up. The ref keeps coming in and going out. More elbows here by Paddy. The ref's looking at it, and that's it. Paddy wins, baby. Let's go. Let's go, baby. This dude is bad, bro. This dude is bad. Hey. Woo-hoo-hoo. Just dominated Chandler physically. Just dominated Michael Chandler. Wow. And Paddy looks fresh. Michael Chandler looks like he's been in a fight. That's the bottom line. So Paddy is going to get the win here officially by TKO in round number 3. And man, what a fight. What a fight. Big ups to Paddy Pimblett. So that'll do it here. Lightweight division, UFC 314. Yeah, so obviously the crowd loving that. And I was just really interested with the dynamics. USA versus England. And just everything going on in that arena at that moment. But a lot of Paddy fans, including myself, and Chandler's just getting older, 38 years old. You got to go with the 30-year-old and Paddy. And hopefully someone can rise up in this lightweight division and challenge Islam or Ilia Topuria or Arman Sarukian or Charles Oliveira. The top 4 right now, it seems like. So Paddy Pimblett's the guy that can do that. So big win for him. Then in the main event, no point in playing a clip for that because it just went 5 rounds to a decision, and it was dominated by Alexander Volkanovski. So we ended up falling in the main event, which, wasn't good for us. Please believe it. It was not good. And here's how things finished last night. You see a lot of W's on the board, 9-4 overall, but we lost with Diego Lopez in the main event, so we're back to 6-7. Could have been a huge night if Lopez would have won. So we're 6-7 there, a little bit of a struggle. Tough fights to predict there. But you see overall 92-64, so we're getting our stride fight by fight. But it's just that main event which is causing us problems. And it did last year. We pulled away late, but it was a struggle the whole year at 500. So we're looking at almost a year and a half now of struggle since the previous 2 years when we just jumped out 15-2, 14-4, things like that. The last year and a half, 18 months has been definitely a struggle. But that's the way it is right now. We'll take the overall record. We got to get better in the main event. That's just how I see it, and that's how I'm sure you all see it when you look at the numbers there. Now, in terms of the dude list, there's the top 10. But more importantly, at 12, you got to move Alexander Volkanovski back in to the top 20. So he's sitting there at 12. O'Malley at 11. And I know you see Bilal at 15. We got to do something with him. If he can win again, he's got to be in the top 10. But looking back at the top 10, look at 10, Alex Pereira, who's probably a top 5 guy on the dude list, but he just happened to lose the last one. And you go up the ladder there and you look at it and you're like, I don't know who's coming out of the top 10. I mean, this is the deepest the dude list has been in probably a year. It used to be the top 5 was very tough to move anyone out of. Now it's the top 10. So that's the way things are looking right now and as we go forward. Now, as we jump into the Q&A, the first one's on Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler from Ginge, or Ginge maybe. I'm leaning towards Paddy. I think he got the skills to do the job, but he needs to keep that chin tucked or it'll be an early night. And good analysis pre-fight. The bottom line is Paddy ended up dominating. You see there, Paddy Pimblett will dominate Michael Chandler. We tried to tell you in this one. So, and that's exactly the way it went. 49ers faithful forever. Back says Paddy looked really good, has improved tremendously. And you're right. And that's the thing that we're seeing is Paddy just continues to improve. And he's 30. He's right in prime, right? His body looks stronger. It always looks strong, but when you hit that 30, it's like you're a full-grown man at that point, and you got 3 or 4 years in your prime. And he's certainly in his prime right now. And another guy, Chase Hooper, last night is heading in that same direction. I'd love to see that title fight, 3-4 years from now. We'll see if it comes to fruition. terms of Dan Ige, Sean Woodson, the horrible stoppage, that's what 49ers faithful forever is saying. Nullifier, Galactus says, yeah, I don't know. I think it's a huge mistake. If they don't fire him, this fight was fixed. It's like Sean Woodson's winning the whole fight, and as soon as he's in a little bit of trouble, the fight's over. First Kings, them judges and refs got paid, man. Dana White needs to leave the UFC. And this has nothing to do with Dana White, because this is the commission who hired. This is like, it's like an independent body. And the fact you have all this technology in the world right now, we got to have 3 human beings making a decision is crazy. Easily could set up a point system. And that's it. And you could see, like I say all the time, in any other sport, you could just see the numbers. And coming down to the final minute, it's going to be a mad flurry, especially if both guys are within 10 points. You know, with significant strikes being a lot of points, control time, takedowns, all those things adding up. And it would change the sport for the better, and there'd be no controversy because we can see the score as it transpires. That's the bottom line. But we're not there yet. Yair versus Pitbull. The young guy says, it's naive of you to assume that any UFC fighter would just beat any fighter from Rizin or Bellator, etc., just because they are a UFC fighter. Dude, it doesn't work like that. Dana White has your brain damage. But the bottom line is I was exactly right. I don't care that you're a Bellator champion. The best one to me coming over is Michael Chandler because he nearly won the belt. He was legit. And it's not that Pitbull's not legit, but Yair has years of fighting against the best fighters on the planet. He's going to find a way to win that fight, and that's exactly what happened. Now, it's not to say that Pitbull couldn't come in and win and surprise us all. It definitely could happen, and it's only going to get tougher because the competition level is getting better and better, but not on this night. And I tried to warn you beforehand. In terms of Dan Ige and Sean Woodson, once again, George K. B says, I like your channel. Also, my guy, this is really good stuff, by the way. Appreciate it. No doubt. He also goes on to say Sean is going to have a tough fight. I believe people forget he's very, very good and skillful. Considering he fought at heavyweight, his limbs are way bigger, and I think he can possibly win a decision if Ige cannot establish his grappling. And yeah, I mean, it's just disappointing we didn't get to see how it finished because it looked like it was going to be a good finish. The ref jumped in early and bam, took it away from us. And that's what the people were saying, and that's how things transpired last night. Very, very exciting night for the UFC, and I definitely walked away feeling great about what I saw and the product that's being put out there. We are in that window now, I believe, or we're right there on the cusp of the UFC being able to open the doors to other offers, and it seems like Netflix could be a front runner. I don't know how I feel about that yet, if that does happen, because I just love going to ESPN for all the stats and, you know, everything's in one place right now. Things will, you know, you're not going to have a place to go for Netflix to see stats because they're not like a sports brand like ESPN. ESPN's all sports. It got stats for days, and I'm just curious how that's going to transpire if they go to Netflix. But, you know, we're going to see because we're getting closer and closer to that, and I expect some news in the next 2 weeks to a month on that. But listen, it's a wrap. The weekend is a wrap. That's how things went down. Again, a wild night in Miami. Glad to have witnessed it. And we made it through another pay-per-view event. Until next time, this is your boy Chris Cross. Hope you have a great day and God bless. As always, peace.